We continue now at the top of Daf Vavam at Beis Meseches Makkos. This is Makkos Daf 6b. The Mishnah says, "Hayushnayim roen oso mechalon zeh." If two witnesses, they see him from this window. Ushnayim roen oso mechalon zeh. And two other witnesses, they see him from this other window. V'yechad masra bo b'yemtz. There's one person in the middle who's giving him a warning. Bizman shemiksason roen elu es elu. If some of them can see each other, harei elu edus achas. Then it's all considered one testimony. They are one set of witnesses. V'im lavin, if not, they're considered to be two sets of witnesses. Therefore, let's say one of them would turn out to be Edom Zom, and it would turn out that they're false witnesses, but the other set, let's say, would still be good, and it's a situation where we're considering them Shtei Edyus, we're considering them two separate sets, Hu Vehein Neheragan, so in such a situation, he would be killed, meaning the person who, the defendant, he would be killed, Vehein Neheragan, they would also be killed, meaning the Edom Zoman would be killed, Vahashniya Patur, and then the second set of witnesses, the kosher witnesses, they would be exempt. And the Mishnah continues, Rabbi Yossi says, Li'olam eina neheragan ad shiyu shnei edav masrin bo. They are never killed unless the two witnesses are the ones that give the warning. Shenemar, as it says in the pasuk, al pi shnayim edim, it says through two witnesses, and therefore it's al pi shnayim edim, it has to be by the mouth of the two witnesses, they have to give the warning. Davar achar, another explanation, what does it mean al pi shnayim edim? What does it mean by the mouth of two witnesses? It means Shalote Sanhedrin Shomas Mipi HaTurgaman, that the Sanhedrin is not allowed to hear through a translator. And Rashi explains, Hare Elo Edus Achas, they're considered to be one set of witnesses, again in a situation where some of them see some of them. V'im huzam echad mehem, so if one of them would be falsified, v'lo huz mukulim, but not all of them, ein nerug, and then they would not be killed. It would just be like part of the set of witnesses were falsified. And Rashi continues, Shalote Sanhedrin Shomas, that the Sanhedrin should not hear through a translator. Edus ha'edim mipi haturgam, and they shouldn't hear the testimony of the witnesses through a translator. Tzrichan hadayonin sheyu makirin below, meaning the judges need to recognize the language of the witnesses. You cannot have a translator between them. And the Gemara says, Amar Rav Zutra Bar Tovia Amar Rav. Rav Zutra Bar Tovia says that Rav says, Minayin le'edus miyuchedes shipsula. From where do we know that edus miyuchedes is disqualified? Rashi explains, edus miyuchedes is echad roa oso mechalon zeh. Let's say one witness sees him from this window, v'echad roa mechalon zeh, and another witness sees him from another window, ve'einon roen zeh zeh, and they do not see one another. How do we know that that is disqualified? Shenemar, because it says in the pasuk, lo yumas al pi eid echad. It says that he can't be put to death by the mouth of one witness. Now, what does that pasuk mean? My echad, what does it mean, one witness? Ileima eid echad mamish. If you're going to say it actually means one witness, may reisha shamin Allah. We already know that from the beginning of the pasuk. It says al pi shnayim eidim. It says it has to be through two witnesses. Elamai echad. Rather, what does echad mean? It means echad echad. It means one and one. Again, what it refers to as edus miyuchedes, as Rashi described above. And the Gemara continues. Tanya namihachu. We have a brisa that says like this as well. Lo yumas al pi eid echad. Again, he cannot be put to death by the mouth of one witness. Lahavi shnayim sharoim also, to include a case of two people that see him. Echad mechalon zeh, v'echad mechalon zeh. One from this window and one from that window. Ve'ein roen zeh zeh, and they do not see one another. She'ein mitzdarfen, that they do not join together. V'lo od, and not only that, alafilu bazeh achar zeh b'chalon echad. Even if they see, let's say, one after the other, it's not exactly at the same time. It's one after the other from the same window. Ein mitzdarfen, they do not join together. And the Gemara continues, Amalei Rav Papa li Abaye. Rav Papa said to Abaye, Hashta now, Uma echad mechalon zeh ve'echad mechalon zeh. If in a situation where one sees from this window and one sees from that window, the haika chazi kula ma'isa, that this one saw the entire incident, v'haika chazi kula ma'isa, and the other one also saw the entire incident, and Amrit, and you just said lo mitzdarfi, that they don't join together. But zechar zeh, so if they see one after the other, the hai chazi palga the ma'isa, this one saw half of the incident, v'hai chazi palga the ma'isa, and the other one saw half of the incident. Boy, do we even need to say it? It's so obvious that they don't join together. In that case, why does the Brisa even say that situation, that v'lo od, not only that, but even zachar zeh? Of course, zachar zeh is not going to be mitzdarif. And the Gemara continues and answers. Amar le, he said back to him. Abaye said back to Rav Papa, lo nitzrucha ella lebo el eso erva. The case over there is, let's say, a situation of arayas. There's a situation of an illicit relationship. So there, the incident can extend for a period of time. It can be an extended period of time. And so therefore, it's possible that each witness, even in a case of zachar zeh, each witness actually saw the entire avera. And the Gemara continues, Amar Rava says, Im hayu roen es hamasra. Let's say the witnesses, they see the person giving the warning. This is talking about in a situation of edus miyuchedes. O hamasra roa osaner. Let's say the person giving the warning, he sees them, mitzdarfen. Then that is a way to have them join together, and they can become a set of witnesses. V'yamar Rava says, Masra sha'amra, when we talk about this person giving the warning, afilu mi pi atzmo, it could even be a warning from himself. V'afilu mi pi hashed, it can even be from the mouth of a demon. And Rashi explains, Mipi Atzmo can be from himself the warning, Hehorag Atzmo Hisrabo, meaning the person who's being killed, he can issue that warning. And the Gemara continues, Amar Rav Nachman says, Eidus Miyuchedes, when it comes to this disjointed testimony, again, you have one seeing from one window, the other from the other, and they do not see each other. But Kasheira B'dinei Mamanis, that actually would be acceptable when it comes to monetary cases. Techsiv, because it's written in the Pasuk, Lo Yumas Al Pi Echad, it says he shouldn't be put to death through the mouth of one witness, which is where we learn out that Eidus Miyuchedes is a problem, but that it says Lo Yumas B'dinei Nefashos Hu Dein Kasheira. It's only by capital cases that it is not kosher. Aval b'dinei mammon is kasher, but when it comes to monetary cases, it is in fact kosher. But the Gemara says, Ma'askav Rav Zutra asks on this, Elamayatu, but according to that, b'dinei nefashos tatzil, in a situation where we can somehow get the defendant off using this, so that's what we should say. We should say by capital cases, it should actually save the defendant using this logic. But alama tanan, but why do we learn in our Mishnah, hu v'hei neheragin, that actually he and they are killed, meaning in a situation where you have disjointed sets of witnesses, you have two sets of witnesses, one set at each window, and so we said if they are not joined together, so we said that set of witnesses that's falsified could be killed and the defendant could be killed, but we should say 1 second, since disjointed testimony is accepted by Dinei Mamanis, we should consider them one unit in terms of trying to save from having to administer the death penalty, and we should say they are considered all one unit, and then you wouldn't kill the Edom Zoman, you just throw out all of the witnesses, and you would not kill the defendant either. That's what we should have said, but we don't say that, and the Gemara says kasha. The Gemara says indeed, we leave that as a difficulty. Rashi explains, if in general you can combine the witnesses, let's say by Dinei Mamanis, so b'Dinei Nefashos by capital cases, let's say two witnesses see from one window, like the case in our Mishnah, and two people from the other, and then one of the sets is falsified, we should join them all together to be one set, in order to save the false witnesses via sanido, and then you'll also save the defendant that way. You'll end up having to throw out the entire testimony because some of the witnesses were falsified. You should again nullify the testimony. Since in general you could join them together, like in Dinei Mamanis, you now have a reason to be able to save him. And the Torah indeed says that we should try to find every way to save the person. And the Gemara continues at the two dots. The Mishnah said, Rabbi Yossi Omer v'chulu, Rabbi Yossi says, etc., meaning Rabbi Yossi says that the warning has to come from the mouth of the witnesses. And the Gemara says, Amalei Rapapa li Abai, Rapapa said to Abai, Umi islei Rabbi Yossi hai svara. Does Rabbi Yossi really hold of this? Rashi explains, Umi islei Rabbi Yossi hasra klal. Does Rabbi Yossi hold of the concept of a warning at all? Here he's saying the warning needs to come from the witnesses, but we have another source. It seems Rabbi Yossi doesn't even really hold that a warning is necessary. V'atanan, but we learned in the Mishnah, Rabbi Yossi says, Hasone nerag, somebody who hates another person, he is killed. As if he's already warned, it's clear that he's doing it on purpose because he hates this person. It's his enemy. And the Gemara says, Amalei said to him, Hahu Rabbi Yossi bar Yehudahi. That's not the Rabbi Yossi in our Mishnah, that's Rabbi Yossi bar Yehuda. He has a unique opinion when it comes to Hasra. The Tanya, because we learned in a Bryce, Rabbi Yossi bar Yehuda, Omer Rabbi Yossi bar Yehuda says, Chaver, if you have a Chaver, which is a knowledgeable scholar, Ein Sarach Hasra, he does not need warning. The whole purpose of Hasra is to be able to distinguish between whether the person did it by mistake or on purpose. When it comes to somebody who's knowledgeable, who knows the halacha, we know that he did it on purpose, and therefore warning is not necessary. Similarly, when it comes to somebody who hates another person, it's his enemy. So again, we know that it's not b'shogeg, we know that it's b'mezid, and a warning would not be necessary. Rashi explains, V'atanan Rabbi Yossi Omer Hasone Sha'amar. If a person hates and he says b'shogeg haragti, he says I killed by mistake, nerag, he's killed. It's like he's already been cautioned, he's already been warned. And the Gemara continues at the two dots, Davar Acher al Pishnayim Eidim. We said above that another explanation is, what does it mean al Pishnayim Eidim? The Mishnah said, Shalote Sanhedrin Shomas, Mipi HaTorgaman, that the Sanhedrin should not hear through a translator. And the Gemara says, Hanhu Le'uze, Da'asu L'kami D'Rava, there were people who spoke a foreign language, foreigners, they came before Rava, Uki Rava Torgaman Beinayu, and Rava set up a translator between them. And the Gemara says, how did he do that? But didn't we just learn in our Mishnah, Shalote Sanhedrin Shomas, Mipi HaTorgaman, that the Sanhedrin is not allowed to hear from a translator? And the Gemara answers, Rava made the hava yoda ma the hava amri. Rava knew what they were saying, va'adurehu to lo hava yoda. He did not know how to respond, and for that you're allowed to use a translator. Rashi says, L'uze bale lashon acher shein hadayonin makirin ba. Again, they speak a different language that the judges do not recognize, and we will continue with this discussion in the next video on Daf Zayin Amud Aleph.